Welcome, Knights, kindred, and other children of the night. My name is Huntener, and we are in Troyes, in the domain of Poitiers. Our character is Count Laorans, the Breton, the Lord of Storms, the fallen Crusader, a brave and noble servant of Duke Poitiers, the King of Roses, the only male amongst the courts of love, the Toreador leaders of France. He is our liege. He is on the path of viziers. What that means is basically he believes that he should be in command, but would prefer to exercise that command as the power behind the throne instead of sitting in the dangerous spot on the throne directly, as opposed to us on Etienne, or I should say Chivalry, to use the vulgar name of it. We believe that our position is to serve those stronger than us and to enforce the service of those weaker than us. And so we will support our liege rather than try to break out from underneath him. As his power grows, our power grows. As our power grows, his power grows. The only circumstance in which we will break away from him is if he commits any severe crimes on either our path or his path, which we will judge as weakness, and then we will seek a stronger liege. One of the ways that we can seek a stronger liege is through him towards his liege, Saliana. Effectively, she is the Queen of France at this time. But that is not something that we would consider, not openly, because to us, our liege has proven himself to be worthy for now, and so we will serve him. That is our way of being, that is our destiny. At the end of the setup episode, we started our herd, and we did our first hunt, but very little else. We're going to talk about that here, just go over it really quick. In this version of Crusader Kings in Princes of Darkness the mod, you have additional lifestyles, these 5, which represent the vampiric disciplines. Each one is a category that has multiple disciplines on it, under it that you can learn through gaining discipline-related traits, like these. We have Auspex, Dementation, and Obfuscate from our clan. That is Sight Beyond Sight, Inflicting Madness, and Stealth, Becoming Invisible, or Becoming Unknown. Then we have Presence from our hunting style as an additional non-clan discipline, although non-clan isn't really a thing that matters so much in this as it does in the regular game, because there's no like experience differential. Presence is basically vampiric majesty. It is inflicting others with love and other strong emotions. It has both dread and passion in it. And yeah, this character is a diplomatically based character. We are Clan Malkavian. Clan Malkavian is the clan of seers who have beautiful and terrible knowledge that drives them to a form of madness that is specific to vampires. They have minds that are unstable, and most of the time they are untrusted by the higher, more stable clans like the Venture and the Toreador who rule Paris. But some Malkavians prove themselves to be stable enough to be trustworthy, and as seers and oracles, in times of chaos like this, oftentimes the mighty look to the wise seers to find out if there is a path from chaos back into order. When such a situation occurs, like it does during the struggle in France, Malkavians are sometimes invited to the court and sometimes even treated as valuable members of various courts and domains, when otherwise they would be shunned and sent away as low clan, useless, lesser vampires. If we look at Etienne here, Etienne is a vizier. Viziers do not have a bias against us, one of the reasons why he is a good liege for us. But if we look at Matriarch Saliana, she is on Regalis, the main path of kings. In other words, she wants to be a king. And as you can see, they have this High Clans tenet, and in the High Clans tenet, some clans, the lesser ones, at least from their position, are considered to be sinful just by existing. And we are right here, which can be a problem. Because it does, as we can see by looking at her liking, it does give them a opinion malice against us that is permanent and we can't get rid of, because clan is an unchangeable truth. It can only change if they change their faith, because we can do nothing about it. As I said, Etienne, as a follower of the Path of the Vizier, does not consider the low clan, high clan definition to be important, and so he does not hold our clan against us. Now, the way you gain experience in this game is in this mod. This version of CK3 is the same as normal, with monthly ticks and events, but also through feeding. Every time you finish a hunt action, and once per year, as a collective of all your herd members, you gain experience based on the blood resonance of those mortals. That blood resonance is determined when you hunt them. It's revealed to you. When you herd them, it is revealed to you and added to their character sheet. That's really important. When you're a young vampire with almost no disciplines, your hunts will tell you what their blood type is, like the resonance is, but it will not appear in their character sheet. The herd, though, will, and we'll see that when it comes up. Collecting a herd that gives you regular experience in the disciplines that you actually use. So in our case, it is white, green, and red, and we'll just look at that again. That is melancholic, phlegmatic, and sanguine are the categories that we want to feed from, so we want them in our herd, and one of our early goals is going to be to make a herd that contains only the kinds of residences we like by doing a bunch of herd and hunt actions over and over again until our herd is formed. This is really, really important and can't be avoided, but because hunting and herding at the same time uses both of your two main character actions, both your hostile and your personal action, they pretty much take up everything you're doing. This will completely take up our one personal action, one of the most important actions for a diplomatic character, literally all the time. We're going to begin by using one of our tenant abilities from our religion, from being on the path of chivalry, and we are going to host our Etienne as our guest. It's just a quick click to turn some of our piety into 10 opinion points, so he likes us better, which is how we want things to go. And we're just gonna let this run. I guess before we start, we'll do our religion. We have these 3 tenets, which are pretty great. We have ritual hospitality, which is what let us do what we just did. It also makes generous a virtue and callous a sin. We are neither generous nor callous, so that doesn't affect us. But we also get piety per powerful vassal on the council, which means we want to get all of our council filled with powerful vassals, which we're going to do anyway, just from the natural way that developing a vampiric domain works in this game when you're very young. We'll talk about that a lot too once we get closer to it. We are oath sworn. We hate people who break oaths. We get laws cheaper. Our vassals are less likely to join factions if we're virtuous, if we have a virtue, and we do have a virtue. Our vassals are more likely to join factions if we're sinful. We don't have any sins. And electors are more likely to vote for us if we're just, but we're not just. Just like a religion in the regular game, we have sins and virtues. You can see our list of sins and virtues. We have a virtue, which is that we are arrogant. We have no sins at this time. Our main doctrines are self-control and conscience, which relates to how we frenzy and how we feel about frenzy. Equal. Righteous, which is pretty much the neutral one. The lay clergy, which means we can change our religious leader. And 3 pillars, which means we are astray with people on humanity, other people on kings, and people on heaven. These top doctrines are the same one for the regular game and function in the same way. Down here we have our supernatural tolerances, which are basically, we consider witch hunters and infernalists and werewolves to be sinful. The rest we avoid, we shun them. And then down here we have our doctrines of the blood, which are basically our opinion about different vampiric things. We have a strict masquerade, which means we try to hide ourselves from mortals completely. Diablerie is criminal. Thin-bloodedness is criminal, which means very weak vampires and vampires with no known clan are criminals to us. We can vassalize our ghouls. We're not comfortable with blood sorcery. We're perfectly fine with enslaving people with our blood. And frenzy is criminal. That is our basic tenets. And with that, let's unpause and start building our domain. Inside of our domain, we have all the things you would have in a regular domain here. We'll let it run slow in the background because this is a very slow mod, so running on 3 is actually pretty slow. Generally, we'll be running a little faster than that, to be honest, but right now, we'll just let it go on 3. If we look at ourselves, we have our two vassals. Right now, they're on the council, but if we remove them from the council, they're going to get super, super, super mad, which means we're going to get a lot of tyranny early on. Getting these vassals to actually be good and getting this council to be actually good is essential to our survival. We can't afford to be giving tons and tons of bad outcomes to our neighbors. Like, we can't be giving them claims and stuff that will make our situation very difficult. And these guys, they're not good. We do have one thing we can do here. This Baron just happens to be on the same path as us, and he has an 8 in learning. Since the court chaplain isn't that important a position, we can just guarantee his almost eternal loyalty by making him the court chaplain and pretty much not ever taking him out of it unless something major happens, like we get a child that we can replace him with that would be better in that position. So that frees up our steward position. We have this spy master who I mentioned in the setup has a 9, which is really good to start with. I mean, he's not going to last in the job, but it does mean we won't have to worry about him for a while. We won't have to kick him out. One thing about vampires compared to lords in the rest of the game is that we can personally hold any type of holding. There's no penalty for us holding cities or temples. And there's a lot of cases where it is just worthwhile to kick people out so you can hold their stuff, because it should be your stuff. But also it's worthwhile to create powerful vassals out of your ghouls and your close servants, because that makes those people better. I mean, that gives you powerful vassals that you can keep basically forever, because except through death by violence, we can really expect our ghouls and our vampires to live very, very, very long lives, especially the ones that we take care of in our own domain. All right. So we don't have any moves we have to make here immediately, which is good for us. That gives us an opportunity to finish off our hunting. We do need to at least make an attempt to marry our courtiers to get people we can use. So we're going to be looking for people to replace each of these positions, because our religion is equal. We can pick men or women for all of these jobs. I'm just going to fill them one at a time. So is there any good chancellors out there? There is this 12, but this symbol is the symbol of the Silver Fangs, which means he is somehow... Oh yeah, he's a kinfolk, which means he is related to werewolves. We want nothing to do with werewolves. They are criminal to us, and we do not want to draw them to our domain by bringing one of their mortal relatives in, so we'll have to skip over him. We can see that we have a 10 that she can marry. It's not bad. We have a 13 for a marshal that she could bring in, and she has a 9 for stewardship she could bring in. This guy is so tempting, but he is literally werewolfkin. We don't want anything to do with that. We should just be pretending like he doesn't exist. Okay, I think we're gonna have her bring in this guy because he's an okay knight and an okay marshal. I don't know if we're gonna put him in that position, but we're gonna bring him to court. Let's just look at the rest of our people here. It's our chancellor. Again, an 11 for a chancellor, so he could marry someone to replace himself. He has no good marshal candidates. Is this 11 for stewardship? I think that's a good choice. Once we have good ones picked, these two are vampires. We're not going to force them to marry because vampires don't usually marry except for personal or political reasons, and we're not gonna make them do that. Okay, just continuing to look down here. She has no chancellor. We already have a candidate for here. Okay, there's really nobody suitable under her. Hopefully we can find a better chancellor someplace. Let's do inheritable traits then. She could marry this guy. Maybe have some bright children. She's a little old for that, but that's fine. We're not going to worry about their ages too much. Okay, so we're gonna go back off of this and we're gonna see if he can bring in somebody. Nope. He could marry this woman. She's pretty, so we'll grab her. Did I not? Oh no, it automatically does it because we're equal. Next, keep checking. There's an Irishman who will make a good chancellor. We're just gonna grab him. And now we're marrying for traits and prowess. So we'll just leave inheritable traits on all the time. We'll just scroll around looking for decent prowesses in here. The best prowess. You know what? I'm just going to put a cut in here. You don't need to see me marry off all the random courtiers for basic traits and inheritables. Everybody does that in every game, and I'll come back in once this is done. Is that everybody? Are we done yet? Okay, so we are going to have a decent council. They're not spectacular, but they're not terrible anymore. This will be our steward. This guy will be our chancellor. And this person here will be our marshal. And there you go. We now have a council that doesn't utterly embarrass us. We will have to get rid of this baron as soon as we can because his 9 now no longer looks good. And we'll have to get pretty lucky to find somebody. Well, I mean, we could force someone to convert, especially if we can find a vampire. Like, if one of the 2 vampire knights we have right now, neither one of them smart enough. If either of them was smart enough, we could force them to convert. Oh, they're both already on my path. That's fine too. No forced conversions or nothing. All right. Well, that's good. I think we're doing okay. I think our situation will be much more stable like it is now than it was before. We have average people doing the job. Less likelihood of negative things. We should also change our culture here. We want to change this to Breton instead of Occitan. And we will change our religion because we want to push out the last of the influence of the path of sin from our territory. And we'll turn this up so we can start getting our herdify done. That's a long-term task and one that we need to really focus down. Blood. So this is our first hunt. So this is Alziaz. She has melancholy resonance. That's good. That's obfuscate. It is intense. We definitely want her, so we're gonna pin her to the list of people we probably want to herdify, and then we'll drink. This is the steward, the guy who might have been steward if I couldn't find anyone better, but we got a pretty good draw this time, to be honest. So there's that. Get rid of this. We don't need him up here anymore. So she will be our next herdify after this one goes through. Let's set up another hunt. Just want to keep cycling through this until it's all finished. We'll just hunt from this guy that we just took off the list. There we go. We don't need yellow, but we won't remove him until after we've got everybody else we want. We want to herdify her because she has great melancholy resonance. So we're going to run this for a while and just let our herd get set up. In the actual video, I may cut this all out because there's not going to be a lot that happens. I will leave in what's happening. You know, we could talk... Ooh, Gehenna Omen. A 2-headed cow was born. I haven't read the Book of Nod recently. I don't know. I'm not a Nodist myself, but I don't remember any reference to a 2-headed cow in the Book of Nod. But as I said, I'm not a Nodist, so I could be wrong. Thanks for the update game. The end times are closer than they've ever been. The elders are coming to destroy us. I do wonder whether or not that's an all thing, or if it's just a cycle where sometimes the elders are doing shitty things and sometimes they're asleep, and Gehenna's just when they're doing shitty things. But yeah, okay. Let's not spend too much time on that. There was one last thing I wanted to talk about that I just realized as I was running this stuff that's essential to run our dynasty. So the Plague Bride here, she is one of Malkav's chiller. She is of the 4th generation. She is also one of a special kind of Malkavian who basically, there are 2 legends of what happened to Malkav when he, in recent history, or in recent vampiric history, so round about almost 2,000 years ago, he disappeared. Some people think he died, and some people think he went to sleep in the Holy Land. These certain children of him have a very strong presence. The Plague Bride is one of them inside the what is called the Madness Network, the network of knowledge and suffering that all Malkavians share inside of their minds. Certain Malkavian have more presence there than others, and these Malkavians are said by legend to have eaten the dirt that his blood fell in when he died so that they could contain him within their bodies. Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. So, she is our... she's the point of origin for our house. And if we open our dynasty tree, it has a regular genealogy tree, just like all the rest of the ones in CK3 do. This is us right here. This is her up here. While she's in charge of our house, an even more terrible old Malkavian is in charge of the dynasty. We'll talk about him if it comes up later, but that may never come up. The top bar is always your clan legacies. They are things specific and related to your clans. The next 5 are the main influences in the Dark Ages that vampires go after. This is cults, knights, seneschals, nobles, and thieves. They're pretty much what they say. And then beyond that are the regular ones that are still available in the vanilla, DC-free version of the game. Our Dynasty head has done something a little bit odd, but it does come up sometimes, and it could have an effect on our gameplay. Normally, they have a ton of renown at the start, and they just fill this line straight up. And the last one of these is really good. It's +1 free learning, basically, per level of devotion. This is super, super good. So they chose to start Ashen Cult right away, which is a little bit bad, but it means that our free learning is going to be a long way off. That being said, this isn't bad. Bloodgrove could be interesting. It's piety-based, it's popular, it's garrison, it's popular opinion, and monthly learning lifestyle experience. Like, this isn't terrible, but I really would have rather had anything else, or this line. You get 10 house opinion, income by stress, 20% per stress level, and a special character interaction so you can borrow skills. This, hopefully she at least gets this one, because we want this. This is really useful to us. This gives you an interaction where you can get, like, make it easier to do hostile schemes on people who have Malkavians in their courtiers. This is free, natural, dread, and some tyranny loss, and this, of course, is learning per level of devotion. This isn't bad, by the way. Like, this isn't bad. She could have picked something else, but I really like the fact that she picked this one. It does have this 100% monthly lifestyle experience, which is just good. It's just good, you know? So yeah, I mean, this is a good row. I just would have preferred she went up to here. I don't get to choose that, though, because I am nowhere near being powerful enough to lead a house of ancient vampires. Like a whole clan, that's absurd. Alright, so we have fed from this guy. He is Chivalric. We are not using any Chivalric. Wait, are we using Chivalric? Dang it, I can never remember. Chivalric is... Yeah, we're not using Chivalric. Good, we can just mouse over it. So we'll drink his blood, but we won't hurtify him. We'll find somebody else to drink the blood of. Strangely, I find starting at the bottom of the list is good because you can just zoom up it. Up there. Let the herdify action complete. We now have her in our herd, which is very good for us. Visitors from the south. The Iberian Lasombra were among the many outsiders trying to grab what influence they could in France after Alexander's exile. Their own trouble in the peninsula with their ongoing civil war soon put an end to their efforts. Still, some young Lasombra see opportunities in France's situation, perhaps to make their fortune before a triumphant return home. One such mercenary group has come to offer their services to you recently. You could obviously refuse their proposal, but there is little doubt that they would find another employer, perhaps even one of your competitors. Okay, so a little bit of lore. Lasombra are the clan of darkness, but it's like living primordial darkness. They are one of the major competitors with the Ventrue, in fact, considering themselves to be superior in nobility to the Ventrue, although they tend to rule through cruelty, while the Ventrue rule through pragmatism. And vampiric pragmatism is pretty cruel, so that's not as much difference as you might think. But still, that does set them apart. The Le Sombre are split on a cultural religious line right now. So there are Christian Le Sombre, which doesn't mean they are Christians per se. It means that they were born in Christian lands in the north, who support thus the Christian leaders of their cultures. And then there are Muslim Le Sombre, who are actually more likely to be religious, literally Muslims, than the Christians, but still not universally or even majorly so, who again support the ethnically similar people that they originate from in the south, and they're sort of having a shadow reconquista where the north is trying to take the country from the south on religious cultural lines. That's our quick Le Sombre overview. This event is another good example of events. A lot of the events in this game are like two-sided events in the mod where you can take it and there's a cost, and that cost may be more than you can afford. Or you cannot take it and it's literally just given to someone else. So if we don't spend 100 gold to get these 700, probably, just knowing how this works, probably valuable men-at-arms, we don't spend this 100 gold, they're going to be given for free to this person. She just gets them. Since we don't want to give them to her for free, and we don't want to lose the opportunity to have them, we are going to take them even though it puts us into debt. But that lets us talk about our buildings, something else we've been avoiding. So there are buildings, they are not buildings, they're actually influences, so they're the fingers in the pies of various human organizations you have. In addition to structures that are extraordinarily useful, like there's the Lordly Manor and some things that represent your haven or the place you sleep. These cost all sorts of different things. It's not as consistent as it is in the regular game. So in the regular game, once you're feudal, pretty much everything is gold, sometimes with a little bit of prestige. And when you're tribal, everything is prestige, sometimes with a little bit of gold, or mixed. In this, different buildings have different costs in different ways. Things that represent you acting directly tend to be fully prestige based, and things that are a combination, and things that represent things you actually would build, or in some situations things related to your military or things that make you a lot of money are just money based. But there's this blood tax. Blood tax is a building that gives you a bunch of gold per month in exchange for lower development. Now, we do not want our development to push negative, but blood tax is worth it if we par. So if we're at 1, but we are not at 1, which just straight sucks. So we actually can't take any blood tax. That leaves us with very few choices of buildings that can help us get out of this debt. I don't want to exchange development for money. So that leaves us, I guess, with one other thing that we can possibly do, and that is wait. I guess we gotta wait it out. I guess there is no other thing we can do. What we could do is we could take the weaker of our two guys here, if he's got money, and we could replace him. We could force him into exile and steal all his money. This guy we're keeping, so we can't do that. I mean, this guy's not that rich anyway. So no, that's not a good plan right now either. I think the status quo is good. How is the relationship between our guy down here and our liege? There has been no active hostility between them that I've noticed. There's not been a faction formed or any. Oh, he has formed a faction. So that gives us an excuse to maybe attack him, especially with the assistance of those Le Sombre mercenaries. Yeah, the Caballeros. They sent us a lot of Caballeros. And a number of levies as well. We're gonna work towards taking this from this guy to end that that faction. This faction is a really good excuse for us to make a struggle clash, to expand our personal territory, simply because part of our role as the loyal knight of our liege would be to try to help him squash factions. And from our position, the only way we can help him squash a faction really is to make that person gone. And that's probably going to be something we're going to try to do pretty quickly, but we're going to focus still for now on our Hertify. We don't have any Hertify candidate, So we're just going to go down to the bottom. We know not him because and this is who we're working on. So we're going to go to this lady here and hertify her and hope that she has a color in her blood that we can use. She's got 86 experience per year now. Delicate affairs. Amir's has been of real help in the past few days, aiding me in my efforts to strengthen the realm's ties with our neighbors. He has just offered himself again to help me gain Warlord Angrim's help. I don't know who this is. Okay. So he's up there in what I think is Normandy. Normandy is run by the Tremere, people we're not even going to bother to talk about right now. He is a Brujah. He is Ein Herjar, which means that he worships the Norse gods and believes that vampires originate from Odin, not Cain. So remembering kindness is good. He becomes my friend. Do I have any stress right now? If I had stress, burning off stress is important. 80 lifestyle experience is probably the best. If we can get it. And we can get it. Alright. Alright, that should have given us... Set this aside. That should have given us our... Yes, so we now have the Madness Network. We're going to use it to super specialize, putting our diplomacy up, because that will give us extra herd members. The limit of your herd is based on your diplomacy, and this should give us one extra. We'll just put that away. Every 5 years it'll fall off just before we get our herd back up, but that's okay because we'll only lose a little bit of experience for 1 month, one year out of every 5 in order to put that back up. It's perfectly fine. Just using it, letting it run out, and seeing it here is fine. So this lady, she has melancholy. We can she's negligible. Negligible isn't that good, but you know it's better than nothing. So we are going to pin her. And then we're going to take some of her blood. And then we're just going to continue our hunt list. Whoops. We also probably could find more mortals. Do we actually want to spend... Yeah, we'll do this way. We'll add more mortals and hunt one of them. So, not great. Not great. Not great. Not great. None of these are any good at all. I'm just gonna hunt from this person at random. There we go. Our herd grows. This is definitely a person we wanted because we picked her on purpose because she has melancholy. We also have this person who has melancholy, which we will also hertify directly on purpose, knowing that she is useful to us. At 210 experience per year. So we're at Dionysian. That's the one that makes it so your hostile schemes succeed more if there's Malkavians in their court. Alright. We just continue and continue. What does she have? More melancholy. I already have 2 melancholies. I think I'm going to have either 5 or 6. Can't remember which one it's going to be. It does say someplace. I think I'm not going to mark her. Because I've already got 2 melancholies and we're just going to keep down the whole hunting list. But this is someone who's new. Our splendor has increased. That's nice. Trimming the dynasty. Hassan's very existence is an insult for the name of our glorious dynasty. My kinsman is an utter disappointment in everything that he tries to accomplish. He's 21 years old. He's atrocious. This gives me stress and it's not likely to succeed. I don't want us to lose renown. Do we want to murder this guy? No, I think we just let this pass. We're arrogant. It's below us. Okay, let's see. What color is she? Oh, so much melancholy. Ah! Oh, right. I picked her because she was melancholy. That's not a random. That's an on purpose. All right. Sometimes I feel like everything's going a certain way. Vertify, is this where it shows? Nope. Where does it show? Does it show when we go to manipulate herd? It's weird, because I know it shows someplace. Who knows where, but I know it shows someplace. Maybe it's under the herd marker on their mysterious ways. That is definitely also not a main pick. So you took the second one of these. This is good. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, you're basically taking 2 learning from me and giving me 1 instead with your weird choices. And I guess I get those learning eventually, because you will pick them. You're just not going to pick them right away. It's going to be like forever, though. Forever. It's fine. It's fine. Chivalric, not useful to me. Let's hunt someone else. This process, as I said at the beginning, is very, very, very cyclical, but it is essential. If you do not do it, you're going to be in trouble, because you're not going to get experienced where you need it. It may on the surface seem like I am complaining about the way this works, but I absolutely am not. This is the most immersive simulation of a vampire setting up a new domain at any game that I can imagine. This is exactly right. We're just feeding off of everybody until we can find the people we like the best and then keeping them. It's actually quite good, and I do quite enjoy it. Melancholy. It's almost not worth doing random anymore, because I'm getting so many melancholies that if I randomly herdify them, they're like just taking spaces up now. Melancholy is good, don't get me wrong, but I don't want all my experience in one area. I'm still in debt. Okay, that's okay. I guess it doesn't hurt to super specialize it. It just means one discipline finishes faster and you get to the top of the faster. You get to the top of the abilities, and Obfuscate has a really, really neat ability in the middle that lets you just turn off all hostile schemes currently against you. Okay, start exchanging letters, right? This one of these has a chance to give me a experience, right? Yeah, it's just actually doing it. Okay, let's put this guy up. Let's put pause. Let's look at this. He's a sanguine. We want him for sure. We'll mark him. We already got her, so we'll take her out. Let's hunt someone else now. Oh, some children. Nice. Can't hunt from children. Just in case you were wondering. No hunting from people so young that it would kill them automatically. We're not that kind of vampire. I mean, of the 2 choices they've given me, she's more likely to be interested in investment options, but I'm more likely to tell better stories about war. So I'm gonna go with the stories about war. Alright, she liked that. This gives me a 50% chance to get 300 and a 50% chance to get 100. Well, you know, we got the 300. Nice job, me. Nice job, 300. Yeah. I didn't even look who that last what that last herdify was. It was just going too fast. Let's go to manipulate herd. Was it this guy? Melancholy. Oh, do we have 2 Chivalrics? It's melancholy. It just looks weird colored because of that. That's weird. Yeah, for some reason the green looked, the white looked green for me there. So we have 1 green, 1 red, and a bunch of whites so far. We gotta we have no thing up here, which means that we're full of these guys. So we're gonna take out the guy we don't want and tell him he can go. We do that by clicking on him and clicking select release vessel from your herd. We don't want to hunt him to death. That's not well aligned with our faith. When we got him out, we got this back, which is showing basically we can do it again. So yeah, we're getting close at least to being done with our herdify actions. We're replacing that last guy, and once he's replaced, we will be good. What is she? All right, so she has turned out to be sanguine, which is actually quite good for us. We're gonna keep her if we can. So we're going to just, yep, she's pinned, so we pinned her already. And if this person here turns out to be better than her, we will keep them. Otherwise, we'll kick them out and replace her. She is no symbol sanguine, probably. She is negligible. That's okay. That's okay. We'll take our drink. I'm gonna keep hunting, though, because we do want to keep hunting. We've hunted for this guy for a while, and he's not a ghoul, so we'll come back down and hunt him again. It is worthwhile to actually make a list of the people and their things. Well, you don't have disciplines that show it to you, but we're not into that. So we're taking Inspiring Rule, which is per powerful member on the council. We're going to be starting to work on our council soon. Once this is finally clear, we can start looking at ghouls. We can start looking at other things. Maybe we'll start to get some events that'll help us out. Could really use a child so that if we die, we don't get inherited by the woman we hate who we kicked out of here to help out Etienne. Let's just keep him as host, as honorable guest. Just keep on that with him, because it's just basically turning piety into friendliness with our liege. Hey, start sharing letters with her. Another start sharing letters. These are good because they give us experience. Good, she liked that. So again, we're going to do the learning check and hope to get the 300. You know, we got one 300 and one 100. That's pretty fair. What is he? Yellow. Exactly what we thought. So, I mean, we didn't think that. I mean, we knew we might have to get... Oh, we're just letting stuff run here. We're just letting things run. What is this guy? He's choleric, so we'll just drink him. And then we will release this guy. Osmond, right? Yes. Release him. And then we will replace him with the person we tagged. Right here. Just herdify her. And our herd is now done. Done, done, done. And we have gained our first discipline point. Our choices are Silence of Death, which is just a character interaction that makes it so that people can't see the world as far away. This is actually quite interesting. It prevents people from being able to look as far when they're trying to marry people, look as far when they're trying to, like, ask for help or gain people back to their court. This can be very useful, but we want the Cloak of Shadows first because it's just scheme resistance, and flat scheme resistance will be very helpful for our survival in the long term. Okay. We're almost out of debt. That's going to be great, being out of debt. Unexpected visit. Yet again, Court Chaplain Belcout is late for a council meeting this time. I will not let it pass. When I arrive at Belcout's chamber, I do not give him the courtesy of knocking. Count Chaplain Belcout is seated by his desk, writing furiously. I clear my throat. He jumps out of his skin. He quickly stuffs a roll of parchment into his pocket and turns towards me with an uneasy look on his face. What are you hiding? Show it to me at once. Return later and search for it. 85% chance of finding out what he's hiding, good or bad. Or respect his privacy. Thing is, this guy's going to be around for a long time. This is a pretty good chance of succeeding, though. 85% chance. We're going to do this. As I rummage through his things, he sleeps like a babe. The sedative I put in his spiced wine sure did the trick. Within minutes, I have found a piece of parchment hid from me. Well, 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 how delightfully wicked. According to this blackmail letter, Belcout feasts on human flesh. Ugh. Ugh. Jeez. I need to pause here for a second. I'm pretty sure we consider that to be like that. I don't know if we have feelings about that in our religion anymore, because I think that's just not a thing that we worry about. But I personally find it gross. And a potential breach of the Masquerade. But also I need him? We're gonna let that go for now. We'll just keep that secret in our pocket. It may become useful later. But for now, we're gonna let it go. And we are almost out of debt. I can't wait to be out of debt. Hey, in serving as your spymaster, I have learned much about subtlety and observation. I am willing to tutor you in these topics in order to gain your favor. Your assistance is greatly appreciated. 40% chance I gain 2 intrigue. One thing about this is that things that gain you points are really valuable since your character is immortal and you're going to be playing them forever. If we could just get this 40%, it would be so worth it. So we'll click it, and we got it. So that's just basically forevermore. We're better at intrigue. So we appear to have got a new dynasty head. Our old dynasty head was this guy over here. Let's just click on this, not get distracted. He is a member of the Black Hand. We were going to talk about him if he ever came up, but now that he's gone, he's just gone. This Duchess is now replacing him. I hope she does a better job than he does, because he's been picking cult stuff, and I'm not sure that I agree with that. I mean, maybe the avoiding the actual powers of our clan's blood is why she ousted him, maybe? I mean, I would oust him if I could, but as I said before, not strong enough to lead an entire clan. One of the mortal instigators of the Fourth Crusade recently came back to France. Once a minor noble in Picardy, Anjou saw his fortune greatly improved by the fall of Constantinople. Creating his power base in the new Latin Empire, he managed to survive the deadly intrigues of the post-Crusade era, and was even made regent after marrying a Byzantine princess. This is clearly a man that has the mettle to become a potential powerhouse in the Canaanite world. He is ambitious, ruthless, and not afraid of petty mortal concerns. Now that he's far from his power base, you could arrange for his death and bring him to your court. He might be an interesting ghoul or even childer prospect. Yeah. Making him chiller would be really cool. Let's see what his stats are. Okay, so he is good at intrigue. He's a relatively good fighter. And he's average at everything else. I mean, if we're going to grab him, it's going to have to be with prestige because we can't afford the money. We're better off without another competitor. So somebody will grab him if we don't. I'm going to click this and see what happens. And we have got him. Nice. There are lots of different event outcomes that can happen from trying to grab someone like that. Like, one of them is that that somebody rivals you over it, and it's very bad. But, I think we're okay. I think we got him. And I think, because we need a spy master, and we've been talking about advancing our power now that our herd is going to quickly be finished, we are going to start a hostile scheme against him. Finding him in our list. Best way to do that is like this, because he has the best, by far the best, intrigue, and we are going to immediately embrace him. Embrace is a hostile scheme, so it won't cancel our herdify. Good. Good, we don't have any money. But I could take the stress. One of the things you have to do is, I said this in the setup video, but I haven't mentioned it in this video yet. This bar is your Masquerade. This is how much humans around you are aware of you. We're at level 1, which isn't so bad, but it does mean that Inquisition cells can start to grow over time. Inquisition cells are basically rebels. They act like the rebels do in the regular game, but they tend to be a little bit stronger, and the further down this is, the stronger they are. And once you're really far down here, you can get personal hunters trying to track and hunt you down. So that's something we want to avoid, because we are good prowess-wise, but not good prowess-wise, like, as a vampire, you know? Yeah, exactly. And now that we are preparing to embrace a childer, I think we're going to leave that for next episode. Yes, I know that this first episode was a lot of ghoulify, but a few other things happened too that were interesting, like we got that really good prospect, and you know, the Caballeros came to help us out so that we can conquer the guy who is trying to push out our liege. I hope to see you the next time that we are here in the dark of night, in the darkest of times, playing our Count Laorans in France in the wonderful mod Princes of Darkness. Goodbye for now.